it's Marley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Saturday, November 16th. So we have the moon shifting out of Taurus energy, going void, of course, at 2:04 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're locking into Gemini energy at 2:10 a.m. So a very short window where things are going to be shaky and unstable and uncertain. And of course, we're still very much in the full moon energy, so there is a lot to process. We are still kind of in this peak holding position before we're going to be given the green light go ahead coming at us this week to actually put into motion a lot of the things that we've been percolating on, a lot of ideas, plans, strategies that we've been piecing together. And of course, with the moon shifting out of the Taurus energy that had us very present in the physical form, in the physical here and now, we are going to be moving out of that introverted awareness and moving into the Gemini energy, all up in the headspace. We are going to feel like we want to kind of bust out of our shell. We're going to want to kind of connect with people. We become a little bit more communicative. We want to interact with the people, with the world around us, and we definitely want to challenge our mind. Now, that being said, we've had a lot of revelations kind of pop off at us and still kind of taking place because of this full moon energy. And we are definitely going to have to push the boundaries of those thoughts, those ideas, those aha moments. And the moon in Gemini definitely going to help us do just that. We have 10 different aspects taking place here today. 8 of them are going to involve the moon. The moon, while still in Taurus energy, going to make a beautiful interaction with Venus. Venus is the goddess of love, beauty, worth, pleasure, and money. She's in Capricorn energy, and she's still in her rulership here over this full moon in Taurus. So this is definitely going to reveal to us an aha moment where new wants, needs, desires for our long-term plan, our long-term vision is concerned. We are taking a good look at our routines, at our relationships, at our money matters, at the way that we make money. And we're starting to figure out again what we've kind of outgrown, what we want to grow into. And although the change of our physical environment, our physical form, our physical routines and relationships and money matters may be a little bit scary, we should, under this influence, start gaining a little bit of excitement, a little bit of positivity on what it is that we actually want to do, what we want to pursue, and what we actually have power and control over as far as options and choices go. The moon is then going to trine, beautiful interaction with Pluto. Pluto, of course, in the 29 critical crisis karmic degree of this Capricorn energy for, again, just a couple of more days. Pluto was a starring role under this full moon in Taurus. Again, if you haven't downloaded your moon guide and done the work, there's still plenty of time to do that. We have Pluto, again, trying to empower us, trying to show us where it is that we can flip the script of our inner dialogue, of our inner narrative, of our perspective into something better, into something more powerful. And because the moon is involved, of course, this is our emotional state, there's definitely going to be an intensity here for us to boss up, for us to do better, for us to be better, to recognize what we have power and control over here in the physical form. And we are definitely, again, honing in on the cleanup that needs to happen, Pluto and Capricorn, in order for us to stabilize Moon and Taurus and start building something new, long-term goals. Capricorn energy, where happiness, joy, safety, and security is concerned. Taurus energy. This is the point in time, 2:04 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, that the moon is going to go void, of course. We lock into that Gemini energy at 2:10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And at 6:27 a.m., we have Venus, the goddess of love, beauty, worth, pleasure, and money, in this Capricorn energy, getting into the boxing ring, squaring off, fighting it out with the North Node in Aries energy. So, of course, that North Node is trying to get get us on the right path, trying to get us to grow, to heal, to evolve, to actually see where it is that we have to align with a new mission, with a new purpose, with our soul's potential. And so with square highlights the growing pains. And right now we kind of get lost in the scarcity mindset, the lack of mindset, if you will, because we're starting to realize where it is that we're not so happy, or we're not feeling as much joy and pleasure as we would like on the daily basis, where relationship dynamics are essentially kind of effing up our plan, so to speak. There are some relationship dynamics that, again, we've outgrown, that we're still holding on to, that we need to let go of, that essentially we're starting to realize are holding us back or stunting our growth. Now, we also understand that there are other certain relationships that may be encouraging, may be loving, may be supportive, but are growing kind of boring. We want to spice things up. And so we kind of get tunnel vision on all that isn't working, all that doesn't feel good, all that isn't bringing us a sense of happiness, joy, safety, security, and of course, because Venus in this Capricorn energy is thinking about our long-term happiness, our long-term safety and security, where our goals, our ambitions are concerned, we are definitely realizing where it is that some major changes, again, Capricorn energy needing the cleanup crew, where we have to cut certain people, places, and things off, where we have to create time, energy, distance, and space in certain relationship dynamics in order for us to gain a little bit of clarity on what we actually want to build towards. Now, this is going to make it very hard for us to feel good and certain in our heart space, and of course going to make it very hard for us to make a choice or a decision on what actually needs to be done. The moon now in Gemini energy at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The moon is going to be sextiling, beautiful interaction, with Mars. Mars is the god of war, ruling over our physical energy, our drive, our passion, our desires, even our anger. He's in Leo energy. He is, and again, let's take a deep breath here. He is being given the green light go ahead this week to actually take action and make moves. Of course, he's been on the bench, been on the sidelines, just watching and observing the game kind of taking place here because of the opposition that he moved into with Pluto. And so this week, slowly but surely, we are going to be taking off of the bench, put back into the game, and Mars in this Leo energy is going to be able to make some big, bold, courageous, dramatic moves in order for us to, again, close the door on the old, align ourselves with what it is our heart space needs us to do, needs us to pursue. So because the moon in Gemini energy, air sign, Mars in Leo, fire sign, we get a little bit of a spark. We get a little bit of creativity, of ingenuity. We get an aha moment. We get a fluster, if you will, of excitement. This particular energy is giving us the motivation, the determination that we need in order to stay focused on the end goal. We have been observing the game. We've been criticizing the players in the game, what we would do if we were in the game, what we wouldn't do, all of the things. But it's easy to call those particular shots when you're on pause, when you're sitting on the sidelines, when you're actually an active participant. The game changes. So although we should have been cultivating a new spark, fire, flame, a new excitement, motivation, determination to actually build this energy that we're going to need in order to kind of help us through the challenges and obstacles that we know that we're going to face the minute that we get back on the playing field, this is going to help us get focused. It's going to give us a direct energy path on what needs our time, our energy, our attention the most, and where it is that, again, we are still kind of piecing together this plan, this strategy that, of course, we are very excited to take action upon. The moon is going to semi-square Chiron, though. So Chiron being the wounded healer, he's retrograde in Aries energy, helping us to tackle the pain, the trauma, the wounds, to do something about it, to actually fix it, heal it, resolve it, especially where this new version of self is now online, in power, in control. So a semi-square is a little bit of tension, a little bit of conflict. It is putting us in a situation where just when we felt that boldness and bravery and courage, that energy kind of build within us, that confidence building within us between the moon and Mars, of course, we start questioning ourselves. We start picking ourselves apart. We're not feeling so hot. We're not feeling so confident. We're not feeling so bold, brave, or courageous at this particular point. And instead, we are kind of beating ourselves up, breaking ourselves down, picking ourselves apart in a way that, of course, is doing us no favors. But it is going to illuminate where it is that there are some hidden fears, doubts, insecurities definitely coming out to play. We are still in Scorpio season. We are still doing shadow work. And so we have to be illuminated to the darkness in order to turn it into light. We have the moon in Gemini energy sextiling the North Node in Aries energy. So this is really going to help us out because after we fall into that dark pit, after we beat ourselves up, after we break ourselves down, after we give our head a shake and then dust ourselves off, pick ourselves back up and actually start gaining the confidence, the boldness, the bravery, the courage, the momentum back, the moon interacting with this North Node, now we're kind of, pressurizing our ideas, our plans, our strategies. Now we're open-minded to where it is that, we do have some issues that we still need to address. There is still an opportunity for growth, for evolvement, for healing in our own identity, in our own headspace, in our own heart space before we're given the green light go ahead to actually take action and make moves. So at this particular juncture, we're kind of, rising to the challenge of doing what we have to do in order to move on. Again, the Gemini energy is a mutable sign. It's time to switch things up, time to change, time to improve, time to progress. So the moon is then going to make a harsh interaction, of course, with Venus, the goddess of love, beauty, worth, pleasure, and money in this Capricorn energy. Gemini energy, Capricorn energy, they don't get along. Very rarely do they get along. The Gemini energy being an air sign, of course, the furthest element away from the Capricorn sign, which of course is Earth. Now, the moon being our heart space, Venus also heart-centered, but kind of where our relationships, money matters, happiness, joy, safety, security is concerned. They're coming together to illuminate for us where it is that there's a gap. Okay, so take a good look around. Take a good look at your present moment. And then give yourself permission to think about where it is that you would like to be if you could snap your fingers and just open your eyes and be at the goal, at the target, at the vision, at the dream that you're trying to piece together at this particular juncture. Now, when you open your eyes and you realize what all needs to be done in order to build the bridge to get us away from where it is that we're at to where it is that we desire to be, suddenly we have a very long list of things to do. And most of those things are on the removal, the release, the elimination list in order for us to have the space to create something new in the place of the things that, again, we're no longer resonating with. So this is definitely going to put us in a funk. We're questioning everything. Our mind is going to get the better of us. Our emotions are going to feel super overwhelming because, again, we know that we have to take a slow and steady pace and process in order to, again, cut the cord with the old, clear that space before we can start building towards the new goal, visions, and dreams that, again, we want to snap our fingers and just immediately arrive at. So this takes place at 11:41 a.m. and again, Eastern Standard Time. We sit in that funk until 5:14 p.m. The moon in Gemini at that particular point in time going to make a positive interaction with Neptune, who of course is retrograde in his rulership in this Pisces energy. Now, I really like Pisces and Gemini energy working together. First of all, they're both mutable signs, so they're looking for change, they're looking for transformation, they're looking for improvements. We also have to understand that there's a creative spark that happens when you add electricity to water. Now, it's not the best analogy, but think about throwing a toaster into a bath. You're going to get that zap, okay? I don't recommend it. It's not what I'm saying. And of course, it doesn't have a very good outcome. However, the picture that I'm trying to paint is when electricity hits that water, there is a reverberatory effect, a ripple effect of how that electricity just kind of spiders off throughout that water, giving it a highly charged instance. Okay, so what we're getting here is a highly charged instance of intuition, downloads, creativity, imagination, calling, where our soul and our spirit is definitely pulling us into a new path, into a new direction. The moon in this Gemini energy, again, heart and head aligned. We are pushing the boundaries of our thoughts, of our ideas, of our plans, of our strategies on how we're going to bring some of these goals, visions, dreams, downloads to life. However, there is this, let's call it electricity, that is pushing us into our headspace, into our heart space, to remind us that what we're currently going through, this adjustment period, this struggle, is going to be worth it when we end up in that goal, vision, and dream that, again, we're just starting to figure out how we're going to plan and strategize the actions needed in order to get us from where it is that we're at to where it is that we desire to be. 9:45 p.m. The sun in Scorpio energy is going to sit directly across from, oppose Uranus, who of course is retrograde in Taurus energy. This is the annual opposition between the sun and Uranus, and it is definitely putting us in a particular situation. First of all, the energy is going to continue to be electric. Uranus is the lightning bolt that, again, under this full moon in Taurus that we just had, lightning bolt struck the earth, illuminating where it is. The destabilization needs to happen in our physical form in order for a release, a collapse, a destruction needs to take place to the old world, the old structures, the old foundation in order for us to pivot, create something new, pursue something new. Here's the thing. This is going to highlight for us where the differences are, the differences between our heart and our head, differences between our inner realm, our outer realm, differences between us and them, whoever them may be, in relationship dynamics, in friendships, romance, in partnerships, where working, relationships are concerned. There's all kinds of different dynamics when it becomes me versus them. This is going to highlight the differences between where it is that we're currently at and where it is that we desire to be. And what this is going to do is, first of all, it's going to, again, kind of create a ripple effect in our central nervous system. We're going to have a little bit of anxiety, a little bit of restlessness, if you will. And because Uranus is involved, there could be a little bit of a rebellion type of energy. We are highly charged. We want to fight back. We're not afraid. We're taking a look at those differences. We're taking a look at those restrictions. We're taking a look at those obstacles and blockages. And instead of feeling defeated, we're ready to rise up. Again, we are in Scorpio season. We're nearing the end of it. This is where change and transformation and empowerment takes place. But we have to be illuminated to where it is that we're feeling trapped, restricted, held back. So yeah, we're going to be on edge. We're going to have a lot of electricity moving through our central nervous systems. And wherever it is that we feel held back and restricted, we're going to want to rebel against those particular aspects. This is going to be a destabilizing energy. It's going to be very erratic in order to illuminate what is stable, what is grounded, what is anchored, what is working, and what is not. And we're going to be able to absolutely see the actions that are needed in order for us to stabilize the destabilization that, of course, doesn't feel good. It's going to create craziness and chaos. So this yearly opposition gives us an opportunity to take a pause and to review our wants, needs, desires, especially when it comes to independence, when it comes to freedom, and when it comes to change. And do not be surprised if whatever plans that you had in mind get totally thrown out the window. With Uranus, we have to expect the unexpected. He's retrograde in Taurus energy, so there's going to be mishaps, there's going to be destabilizations, wildcard energies here in the physical form in order for us to realize what we have to let go of. So is it going to feel good? No. Is it supposed to? Absolutely not. Is it going to help us in the long run? Yes, it is. Lean all the way into it. Please be doing the work. The last thing that we have to talk about here today is the moon in this Gemini energy getting into the boxing ring, squaring off with Saturn. Saturn is the Lord of karma. He is now direct in this Pisces energy. We just went direct hours before the full moon in Taurus popped off here yesterday. And so again, going to take a little bit of time to kind of adjust to this forward movement. Saturn technically hasn't taken any steps forward as of yet. He's still kind of waking up from his drunken slumber for the last 4.5 months. He's kind of gaining his bearings, if you will, his awareness, trying to piece together all of the things that he reflected upon over this retrograde period, and now figuring out the actions that we need to take in order to make this forward movement and actually implement some of the realizations that, of course, have definitely given us some tough love life lessons over the course of the last 4.5 months. So, of course, a square doesn't feel good. It's not supposed to. It's supposed to highlight for us where we're going through growing pains. And the growing pains here, even though the Pisces energy and the Gemini energy work very well together, this is not a great aspect, which is kind of giving toaster in the bathtub vibes for the worst case scenario. We're a little bit frazzled. We're a little bit dazzled. We just had a lot of energy pop off, illuminating for us where we feel trapped, where we feel like our back is against a wall, where it is that we feel like we need to kind of rebel against the life, the aspects in which the old version of self had created. We are going to be illuminated to what isn't working. Why? Because you need to figure out what isn't working in order to figure out how we could make it work, or where we have to pivot altogether and try something different. Saturn does bring restriction. He brings the negative Nancy narrative. And because the moon is in Gemini energy, ruler of the mental plane, there's going to be a negative narrative that definitely takes place. This is a harsh reality check where it is that, yeah, we may be excited for the goals, the visions, the dreams that we want to start building towards. However, now we're realizing it requires us to boss up, to be accountable and responsible for our actions, for the actions in which we want to put into place in order to bridge the gap from where it is that we're at to where it is that we desire to be. It's a lot. And the Pisces energy gets very overwhelmed, especially when reality becomes too heavy, too weighted. We just want to check out and live in la la land. And of course, the moon, our heart space in the Gemini energy, the head space, we take it to the darkest point possible. Again, we have to sit in the darkness in order to appreciate the light. And in the final days of Scorpio season, you best believe these triggers and activations are going to be intense.